Hello everyone, today we're going to be discussing the life of F. Scott Fitzgerald and his story in alcoholic case, and my name is Nancy Ortiz. F. Scott Fitzgerald was born by the name Francis Scott Fitzgerald and was born in St. Paul, Minnesota on September 24th, 1896. His name Francis Scott comes by inspiration of a famous distant relative, Francis Scott Key, who was the songwriter of the national anthem, Star-Spangled Banner. Fitzgerald's father was Edward Fitzgerald, who was a furniture business owner and later salesman, and his mother was Mary McQuillan, who came from an Irish family who gained success through running wholesale grocery stores in Minnesota. Fitzgerald's family spent a great deal moving to different areas due to his father's work as a salesman. The family primarily spent time in upstate New York, mainly going between the cities Buffalo and Syracuse. Eventually, the family moved back to Minnesota once Fitzgerald's father was let go from his position as a salesman. Fitzgerald excelled in his academics in his early years, and he found great joy in writing. Fitzgerald found his way back to the East Coast in his teen years to attend a reputable private school in New Jersey by the name of the Newman School. His time in the Newman School allowed him to meet Father Sigourney May, who was a great inspiration in his work as a writer due to the father's way of acknowledging Fitzgerald's writings and furthermore reiterating to Fitzgerald that he should pursue writing as a career. Fitzgerald began his college career by attending Princeton University in 1913. During his time in Princeton, he made close friends and enjoyed writing lyrics for the university's theater productions. Unfortunately, Fitzgerald didn't excel in academics as he had in his earlier years and found himself a spot on the school's academic probation list. His status on the academic probation list led him to the decision to drop out of Princeton and enlist in the United States Army. He did not enjoy his time in the Army and was frantically waiting to return to New York. Fitzgerald married his girlfriend Zelda Sayer on April 3, 1920. In the same year, Fitzgerald also published his first novel, This Side of Paradise. He took inspiration from his time at Princeton University and used a location as the setting in his first novel. Fitzgerald and Zelda relocated to Paris, where they enjoyed great adventures. Fitzgerald's novels were not widely praised, which made him distraught and was the reason for his alcoholism. However, his novel The Great Gatsby, which he released in 1925, did receive great feedback. The success of The Great Gatsby was hard to follow, which left Fitzgerald feeling discouraged. His alcoholic tendencies continued, and he died of a heart attack in Hollywood, California on December 21, 1940. The short story An Alcoholic Case was written by F. Scott Fitzgerald in 1937. The story centers around a young nurse who is assigned to watch over a severely alcoholic man. The story immediately jumps into the interaction between the man and the nurse, which exemplifies the gravity of his alcoholism. The nurse states, "Let go. That, oh, please, now, will you? Don't start drinking again. Come on, give me the bottle. I told you I'd stay awake giving it to you." The man is very resistant to any help, which makes the nurse's job extremely difficult. Throughout their interaction, she thinks to herself that she cannot believe she is in this predicament. She feels there is no need for her to be experiencing such stress when she specifically asked to never work with alcoholics. When the nurse returns to her agency, she requests to speak to her supervisor, Mrs. Hickston. She wanted to discuss the alcoholic case she had been assigned and to reiterate the fact that she had no desire to work with alcoholics. When her fellow co-workers had found out about the case the nurse had been assigned to, they began asking her countless questions and stated their opinions about how difficult it must be to work with someone so consumed by their alcoholism. The nurse got defensive and stated that it was not too bad, that the man hadn't done anything to harm her. Once the nurse began speaking to Mrs. Hickston in private, she states that she would rather be assigned to a different case. Mrs. Hickston is understanding and begins making phone calls attempting to find another nurse to cover the alcoholic case. The nurse observes that it is difficult to find someone who is willing to cover the alcoholic case by the failed conversations Mrs. Hickston has on the phone. The nurse reconsiders her previous stance and states that she will return to the alcoholic case. She feels bad for the man and considers the fact that if she doesn't help him, there's a chance nobody will. The conflicts I identified in the story were man versus self and man versus man. The man versus self conflict is apparent in two instances. First, the alcoholic man versus himself, then the nurse versus herself. The alcoholic man versus himself conflict is more apparent in the sense that the man struggles with a clear problem within himself, which is his alcoholism. He does not have control over his life, and his dependence on alcohol requires him to need supervision of a nurse. He is facing a battle that he is responsible for. The other instance in which man versus self is apparent is with the nurse battling herself in her decision to oversee the alcoholic case. She struggles with an internal battle because she doesn't want to be on the case, but she doesn't want him to feel unwanted. Lastly, man versus man is apparent in the way the alcoholic man battles with the nurse. As I stated previously, the man is resistant to any help, which causes tension between the nurse and the man. She wants him to stop drinking, but when he starts drinking, there is no stopping him. Now, I don't want to give away the ending because I want you all to read the story. But I do believe the story is a great example of a short story because the story is short in length, has conflict, and an ultimate resolution.